All right, today on the abomination, Ditch Turtle Mitch gives up on the Senate. Florida is super special, and so that happened. Why is Andrew Yang and Stupid Balls Are Stupid? Another edition of That One Teacher and more. Hey, you sick, twisted freaks, it's Roley. Basically, run. We have heard for almost 2 years, since the beginning of the Biden administration, that the midterm elections were going to almost certainly favor the Republicans. It was taken as read that Kevin McCarthy would become the Speaker of the House, Mitch McConnell would regain the majority leader position in the Senate, and that we would return to the thing that I remember most about the Obama administration, 6 years of gridlock. So it was a surprise when Ditch Turtle Mitch gave up on the Senate. Quote, I think there's probably a greater likelihood that the House flips than the Senate. Senate races are just different. They're statewide. Candidate quality has a lot to do with the outcome, unquote. You know, candidate quality must rank among one of the greatest understatements of all time, right up there with Hirohito saying that the war in the Pacific hadn't developed in Japan's favor, the oft misquoted Houston, we've had a problem, and the Black Knight insisting it was only a flesh wound. The candidates aren't just of poor quality, they should have never been taken seriously to begin with. However, this is an abject lesson in what happens when you let your party be overrun by crazy people. Having said that, I won't be coming down on Herschel Walker unnecessarily. I think he's got some serious mental or cognitive issues, and I think the man needs help. Hopefully, once the election's over, he or people that care about his welfare can work on that. But not everybody else deserves that benevolence. The elections of 2022 are a clown show full of conspiracy nuts, Christo-fascists, election deniers, Sarah Palin, and worse. You may think I'm being unfair singling out Sarah Palin, but she's the prototype. She walked so others could queue. And now Palin's twisted children, the Boberts, the Taylor Greens, the Mastrianos, the Sabatinis, the Walkers, and Dr. Crudite, they're all here to fuck it up for the rest of us. Because the fact of the matter is, none of these people are interested in governing for all the people. All they're interested in doing is passing laws that further marginalize the people that don't think or look like them. And let's be clear about what that means. It means that this country will be ruled by the minority of old, rich, white Christian folks who perpetuate the apocalyptic capitalism, freedom for me, but not for thee, authoritarian world of their wildest dreams. While the rest of us who aren't in the club are stripped of our basic human rights and agency over our lives. And if it isn't obvious, if they're allowed to achieve that level of power, it's going to be really hard to eject them. They'll make sure of that, believe it. I realize there are a lot of you that think I'm overreacting, and I just want to back this up. I was born in 1970, kids. I am old enough to remember the fallout of Watergate, the coronation of Ronald Reagan, and the slide from the New Frontier and the Great Society to Reaganomics, trickle-down economics, the moral majority, compassionate conservatism, neoconservatism, the war on drugs, the war on terror, the Tea Party, and finally this hideous, twisted cult of MAGA. They're all related, one coming right after the other, ripe with the stench of Christo-fascism, disaster capitalism, and spite. The only people that don't recognize the past 42 years as an abject failure in how to be a free and fair society are the people insisting that it shouldn't be a free and fair society. And for that reason, we need to end this chapter and begin the next. Okay, freaks, you know the drill. I sucked at promoting my own stuff, but I really like telling you about somebody else that I think you'll find interesting. And this week, I want to talk to you about the Legion of Stupid. I love how they describe themselves on their website, so I'm just going to give it to you. In the year 2020, as a global pandemic raged the globe, A few outcast podcasters decided to form an unholy union, bringing together some of the greatest podcasts known to mankind. That's their story. They're sticking with it. Now, you may already be familiar with some of the podcasts in the Legion. I mentioned Zib's Misadventures in Space last week. Bell and Dubs and Mouthy Broadcast. These are 3 shows that I've been honored to participate in, but that's just part of the network. Deprogrammed is a show that does a deep dive into a particular band or artist. Greased Pole and Gear Freaks are more sports-related stuff. Comic-Cons is about movies and comics, and there's a whole lot more there. So what I want you to do is I want you to go check them out at legionofstupid.com. Exactly how it sounds, legionofstupid.com, and many, many thanks for supporting my friends. I really appreciate it. Now, let's get back to this abomination. Coming up later in the program, it's not Mike Lindell, I promise. It's just going to sound a lot like him. And I'll talk to you about what really makes a good impression. It's really not the voice. But it's time for So That Happened, where I talk about some of the stuff that caught my eye this week. So order up, come for the headlines, stay for the mocking and derision. You're so very welcome. Florida, 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 Florida. You are a special flavor. Only in Florida can a court decide that a parentless 16-year-old kid is not mature enough to have an abortion, but they are mature enough to be forced to have a kid. What the hell? From NPR, a Florida court effectively blocked a pregnant, parentless 16-year-old from getting an abortion, saying she's not mature enough to make that decision, despite her own acknowledgement that she's not ready for the emotional, physical, or financial responsibility of raising a child. Nearly every state requires some form of parental involvement in a minor's decision to obtain an abortion, though to different degrees. Florida's just one of 6 states that require parents to be notified of the child's intent, as well as their consent to the procedure itself. This girl doesn't have parents. Ergo, the word parentless. Through what's known as a judicial bypass procedure, minors can seek court approval to get an abortion without the consent of their parents. To succeed, they must prove by clear and convincing evidence that they're sufficiently mature to make that decision. It's a fairly vague determination that judges have the freedom to make based on factors like the minor's age, emotional development, overall intelligence, and the ability to accept responsibility. So I really have to ask you, Florida, what in the frosted flake fuck is all that about? I'm serious. Okay. I need everybody to come close to the radio. Come close to the radio. Please come close to the device of your choice. Please, over here. I'm not old. So I want you to first, let's just acknowledge a truth of life that some of y'all don't like, but you need to hear it. Teenagers fuck. Period. End of story. I am not going to get into the argument about whether they should or not. That's a different story. Teenagers aren't cooked yet, okay? That part of their brain that makes good decisions isn't quite there, and you know this because every one of us can think of one fuck up in particular when you were a teenager, and you say to yourself, what the fuck was I thinking? And the answer is, you weren't thinking. We've all been there. So I want to remind you, teenagers, wait for it. Wait for it. Fuck! So, we can reasonably say this girl made a mistake. And she knows she made a mistake. And she knows she's not ready to be a mom. But somebody wiser than I said, and that's a whole lot of people, but the cruelty is the point. Now, this kid, if she's forced to be a mom, is going to be a burden on the support system. I can make the argument that forced birth policy creates more welfare cases than what you all believe is the case, but you're trying to end the safety net because, as I said earlier, the cruelty is the point. It's an economic survival of the fittest, and the deck is stacked against us. Next up, also from Florida, Sarasota County has been told that books are bad, okay? The Sarasota County The Sarasota County School District has halted all donations and purchases of library book material until at least January 2023, according to guidance sent to all schools. The guidance was sent to school principals and shared with teachers just days before the start of the classes on Wednesday. Change comes as HB 1467 took effect on July 1st, and that requires all reading material in schools to be selected by an employee with a valid education media specialist certificate. Now, HB 1467 was an education bill passed by the Florida legislature and signed by him, DeSantis. The law set term limits for school board members, revised selection requirements for school materials, and required meetings to be related to instructional material to be public. And today, when I wrote this, so sue me if I go too fast, today's teachers in Sarasota County were told no purchases or donations of any kind of books or reading materials, no scholastic book orders for teachers, no book fairs. Parents can request alternative instructional materials for anything that they teach. If you want to read anything to the kids, you've got to get it approved in advance, and you can't give kids any gifts tied to reading. Because, God forbid we actually let the kids learn an alternative point of view from their parents or the government or society. Why would we want to do that? We just want good little narrow-minded Christian soldiers to follow orders, make the widgets, and become really good at being cannon fodder. And if these people have their way, they're going to eradicate public education and the standards of learning that it tries to achieve, dismantle the Board of Education, dismantle the Department of Education, and send everybody to unregulated private schools to teach what exactly? DeSantis says Florida is where woke goes to die, and I think, no. Reason got killed there first. Finally, from the Office of Micromanagement, and isn't there anything you could be doing right now? The Royal Bank of Canada's CEO, Dave McKay, wants people to start returning to the office. In a memo to employees, he said that, quote, working from home can't replace the true sense of belonging and fun that working in the office brings. Because clearly, working in a lifeless cubicle is a definition of fun that I've never heard before. Yeah, I work from home. I like working from home. I've got a job that doesn't have to be performed in an office setting. And I keep reminding people, and I need you to listen, really, the workers have the leverage in this situation. And we've had that since we've effectively proved that working from home can be done without a loss of productivity. In fact, many studies have shown that productivity has increased. This is all about command and control, and it's bullshit. Ants are not meant to serve grasshoppers. We surround them, okay? Remember that, and fucking revolt. The work-life balance that you thought you could never have depends on you doing that. So that happened. Another truth of life that you can put right next to death taxes and teenagers' fun is that stupid politicians are stupid. Did you know that? Were you watching some other show? No, stupid politicians are stupid. It might actually be a universal law. We're going to call it Roley's Constant. Stupid politicians are stupid. So first up, why is Andrew Yang? I mean, really, why?
On both sides.
But you're going to have to come up with policy
really
positions.
Negative results.
Right,
we
but
just
Andrew,
need a better system.
Yeah, but Andrew, you're going to have policy positions at some point. How does the Forward Party feel about Roe versus Wade? Should it have been overturned?
Well, I personally think that women's reproductive rights are fundamental human rights. But the Forward Party has not left or right, but forward stance on even the most divisive and contentious issues.
Well, what does that mean? Don't you have to take a position on something? Don't you have to take a position on something? You can't just say, well, this is a hot button issue, so I'm not going to take a position on you. If you want to run the country, you're going to have to make some hard decisions, Andrew.
Again, the Forward Party is about that common sense consensus majority view, which is very clear on abortion. It's clear.
What about guns? What about assault weapons?
On climate change. It's actually clear on just about every issue under the sun.
Should 18-year-olds be able to buy AR-15s?
Because of the nature of our system.
Should 18-year-olds be able to buy AR-15s?
Again, the common sense consensus majority is that there should be some rules around background checks and access to firearms. But we're not getting any of these things, Jim, because the two-party system does not need to deliver.
But it doesn't sound like you're taking any hard positions. It sounds like you're
trade power.
It sounds like you're sort of a fill-in-the-blank party. If somebody wants a party with no clear policy positions, you're it. But unfortunately, in the real world, you have to take a position on something.
Well, where for the common sense consensus?
Look, I know one of the things about really politician-y politicians is their ability to use a shitload of words and say fucking nothing, but hey, look, my dude, you're out of your league, okay? I'm not convinced that you're not trying to split the vote and guarantee DeSantis or Trump or whoever gets in. Have a Coke and a smile and fuck all the way off, okay? Next up, I knew I had to put this in the second I heard it. I don't know if any commentary is really needed here.
InfoWars is an island of sanity and clarity and the tip of the spear of the human awakening.
No. I said no commentary. I mean, fuck it. When I think sanity, I think Alex Jones. Yes, sir. And also when I think of soon-to-be panhandling for change in Roswell, New Mexico, I also think Alex Jones. I'm going to miss the gay frogs. I'm just saying. Finally, Pompous Mike, the corpulent mass of goo that used to run the CIA and then Secretary of State, because the best people, they'd like you to know that we've still got a border problem. He twatted. America just set a new annual record for arrests at the southern border. It's August. The Biden administration needs to wake up. Also related, the GOP Twitter account also twatted breaking news in July. 199,976 illegal immigrants were apprehended attempting to cross the U.S.-Mexico border. Hashtag Biden border crisis. So, what you're saying is people got arrested before they crossed the border? We set a new record for arresting people trying to cross the border before they crossed the border? They didn't succeed in crossing the border? I mean, weird flex, guys, but okay, cool. I thought there was a problem, but damn, I mean, it looks like we don't need that wall that didn't get built. Mike Pompeo, he'd be the one stepping on his own dick, only it's been so long since he's seen it. Stupid! Politicians are stupid. You're listening to Roley. So it's that part of the show where I tell you about a teacher in need of funding, since we live in this world and not one that cares about supporting teachers or funding school. This week I want to talk to you about Mrs. Jordan. She teaches grades 6 through 8 at Penwood Middle School in Darby, Pennsylvania. And every year her students put on a full-length spring musical. They're looking for 2 camcorders and accessories so they can not only record the rehearsals and performances, but also learn videography and video editing, and I am down with that, okay? At time of recording, they are $130 away from their goal. Link will be in the show notes. Let's help the theater kids, guys, and thank you for helping that one teacher. Get an entire bag of macadamia nuts wedged right up there like that. And by the way, over the next 48 hours, you're going to hear things that you never thought were possible. And that's not just about the 2020 election, but about what I see in my head even when I'm sober. And by the way, if I can see what I see stone cold sober, imagine what I see when I'm cracked out. I say imagine what I can see. I guess you can't see what I see because you're not in here with me, I think. And by the way, I've just had my 14th cup of coffee today, and it's the new My Coffee. It's the new My Coffee, and it's amazing. And if you use your promo code MEDS, what are MEDS, for your discount? Again, that's promo code Things Under My Bed Scare Me. And Angela, I'm going to need you to line them up right here in front of me because, by the way, my heart rate has fallen below 120 beats per minute and I can hear the bad people again. You know, that kind of reminds me of that one movie with the bus, only the bus is my brain. But really, once you see the things we have to show you this weekend, you'll never look at our elections the same way again. We need to get rid of all the machines. The machines are bad. We need to get back to paper ballots and get rid of the machines because about a year ago, I went forward in time and met the overlord and he took one look at me and I knew that he knew that I knew everything there was to know, and then I snapped back to our present time, but my pants must have stayed in the future because I don't know where they were, and the cat looked at me very strangely. I think Snickers the cat is a Russian asset. Oh, by the way, when I flash forward in time, the overlord gave me the secret to my pillow, and I brought that technology back to our present time, and you can have tomorrow's technology and sleep well at the same time. Just use your promo code, there are grays in my basement, for your discount. Again, that promo code is I'm vibrating so fast I will crack the earth for your discount. And by the way, never mind the low frequency tones you hear coming from the core of the pillow. It has nothing to do with mind control and converting my pillow customers into the mindless drones to do the overlord's bidding. Everything is Boy George's fault. Now, let's have the trial of the machines, but first I want to tell you about the new My Sandals, and we're taking the pre-orders right now for the My Blow-Up doll. It looks like Mrs. Brady, and I feel kind of dirty right now. So, I may have said this before, but the key to a good impression isn't that you particularly nail the voice, although that's a help. But if you can capture the patterns and the pacing and the content of the person that you're trying to imitate, that goes a long way. Por ejemplo, Mike Lindell. In his case, it's all about the cray-cray. Actually, there is a formula here. I approached him like this. Minnesota accent, Minnesota accent, plus MCA, plus some really absurd shit, and the more unhinged, the better. Yeah? Let me know how I did. You like it, you don't like it, whatever, as far as that's concerned. What do you do? I wrote it in the car. iPads are my friend. I think that's about enough fuckery for one day, yeah? And I was kind of remiss last week in telling you about the music. We get all our little musical bits from Epidemic Sound. I'll put a referral link in the show notes for you. I think I get something out of it, but I've got no fucking idea what. So I guess I should look that up. Whatevs. So here's where I tell you to share, rate, review, mock the podcast, whatever gets you through the night, sweet cheeks. Remember to check out my friends at the Legion of Stupid and Ms. Jordan's, her theater kids at Donors Choose. It's Roley. Question everything. Period. Bye-bye now.